Welcome to Woman at the Wheel. I'm going to give you a little bit of a driver's eye view of what I see when I'm in this truck. And I'm pulling double trailers. So I want you to see what I'm seeing in the mirror. If I can do this or not. I'm trying to do this and not screw up my driving. This is what I'm seeing looking back in the mirror. This is kind of the cockpit of the truck. Now this is the Dodge truck. This is not my favorite truck. This is a truck I've got this week because the Ford is back in surgery. Bill's been working on it steadily, and what's going on with it now is it's got a leak somewhere in or around the transfer case, and he's been chasing this leak, and he's replaced just about everything. So we thought we had it fixed yesterday, or we thought he had it fixed, but we took it out and test ran it, and it was still leaking. So I had put it back in service, so I took it back out of service, which meant I had to get back in the Dodge. So that's where I'm at today. And where I'm at geographically is I'm on Highway 7. I'm almost at Duncan Center, Oklahoma, between Duncan and Lawton. And this is kind of the area that I grew up in when we lived down here when I was a kid. So this is getting in the vicinity of Sterling, Oklahoma, which is where I actually went to school for a while. So anyway, the Ford is back in the shop, and I'm back in the Dodge, and I think what he's going to end up doing is dropping the transfer case on the Ford, and we might end up just putting a new transfer case on it. It could be that the thing is cracked somewhere. He's going to do a little more testing today before he decides what to do. So he's devised a method to test various areas on it for the leak. We can't tell where it's leaking from. That's the whole problem. It looks like it's leaking from one spot, but it doesn't seem to be that, because he went in and fixed where that was. So we crawled under it last night and just laid there and looked at it for a while and tried to figure out where is this leaking from. And I know where I thought it was leaking from, but I'm not necessarily right, because we ran it down to Hilton, Oklahoma, and filled it up last night with cheap diesel. And by cheap, I mean $3.99 a gallon diesel, which is pretty much unheard of. So we ran it down there to test it out, ran it back home, which is a round trip of about 85, 90 miles. And so it gave it plenty of time to get heated up, get warmed up. And if it was going to start leaking again, that would give it plenty of time to leak. So yeah, we got home, and sure enough, it was leaking. So he's going to try some other investigative techniques, see if he can figure out where this damn leak is coming from. But we may end up just having to replace the transfer case. He said that was about like an $1,800 part. And that's kind of expensive, but it's a big deal. I can't be just driving around with the transfer case leaking oil all over the place. So we have to resolve it, and hopefully he'll get it figured out. So I guess this is my second week. I had to put this back in service today, so I was hoping to take the Ford. I was all set to take it too, but ain't happening. So what I'm doing today is I'm hauling these little doubles that I just showed you in the mirror. I don't know how much you can see. I've got two little 14-foot horse trailers back here behind me. They're just stock trailer type deal, horse/stock. They're just nice little lightweight horse trailers, and I'm taking them to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now I should have them delivered there by about 3 o'clock this afternoon my time, or 4 o'clock at the latest my time. So they're pulling really well because yesterday we went over and took the front wheels off of each trailer. These are dual axle trailers, but they've got single tires on dual axles. They're very lightweight little trailers. And I went and got them last week over in Medill and brought them home with me because it just made more sense to go get them and then leave from here with a fresh day and fresh week of driving hours. So bringing them back from Medill, I picked them up at the factory, and they don't take the tires off at the factory. That's something that we usually do over at my broker's shop. Why is there always one of these guys? Speed limit 70, you gotta drive 50. There's always one that, so anyway, we usually take those tires off of the front trailer anyway, over at the shop. And I fought with this set of trailers the whole way home. The other night I couldn't go over 55 with it. I'm not sure why this happens. I think Bill's probably right. I think it's probably just a slight misalignment on the axles or something. So when you put two of them together, they fight each other instead of just following each other. So I went ahead and we took I actually helped. I didn't lift them, but I ran the impact wrench, and we took the front wheels off of both of the trailers. So now I can run at highway speeds and not have too much going on back there. It's not wandering around much. The fewer wheels you have on the ground, the less resistance you've got between the two trailers, fighting for dominance, I guess is a good way to put it. So this is going to be, I think, a relatively good trip. I mean, I'm doing fine at 70, and at 65, if I just stay in the truck and keep driving, I can be there in, I don't know, what, 8.5 hours? So that's what I'm shooting for. I don't want to have to stop and spend the night with these trailers attached to the truck. I want to get over and get them delivered during business hours. Now, this would not be possible except that, well, it might be, but it might not be as possible except New Mexico is on mountain time. So I'll gain an hour going over there. It'll be an hour earlier in New Mexico than it is here. So if I get delayed or held up or takes me a little longer, that will buy me an extra little bit of time to get in there before they close the store. These are going to a store. And I've been in there once before delivering. So it's not a complete mystery to me. Damn it. These people in this left lane over here, they're piecing me off, man. I hate that when they get it right up behind you and then you got to get over suddenly and there's nowhere to go. But this person was actually nice enough to slow down and let me over. So I will give them kudos. Thank you, whoever you are. I appreciate it. So I'm still on Highway 7. I'm going to be on Highway 7 until I get over here to Interstate 44. And what I'll do is I'll hop on I-44 for a few miles and then cut back west on Rogers Lane, which is kind of the northernmost east to west street that runs through Lawton. Kind of runs right between Lawton and Fort Sill. And then I'll take it over to Highway 62. It turns into 62, I think, over on the other side of Lawton. It's basically 7/62, I guess, because 7 should keep going. I don't know. But I think it's officially 62 once you get past Lawton. And I'll run that over to the Oklahoma line over by Hollis and cut into Texas, and then I'll angle up towards Albuquerque. Now I went the other way last time and it took me way too long. I ran up to I-40. I just went straight up through Chickasha on Highway 81 and ran up to Interstate 40 that way, but it took me forever to get to Albuquerque, and I ended up not even making it. Of course, I started in Medill that day, so it took me a lot longer, because Medill, where I picked these up, is 2 hours from my house, basically. So that was a long day. I didn't even get that far. I only got, as far as partway across Texas before I had to stop. And I don't want to do that today. I want to just get over there and get these things delivered. Unfortunately, with this truck, because I don't have an IFTA sticker or a portion plates on it anymore, I have to stop at the border in New Mexico and buy a fuel permit. It's going to cost me about $30. That's what it cost me last week. So I know I'm going to have to do that. So one of the things I've noticed here in the last week is fuel prices seem to be coming back down a little bit around here. Not necessarily in Marlow so much. Although it was 10 cents cheaper at Marlow today, I actually topped it off because I had filled this up the other day when I went down and picked up these trailers on the way down there to Medill. I saw fuel for $3.99 at Healdton, Oklahoma, and that was the cheapest I'd seen it anywhere for months. So I went ahead and stopped in there and filled it up. But I had used about 10 gallons getting down to Medill from there and then back up home with these trailers the other day. So I had to stop at Marlow and top it off. I like having a full tank when I leave Marlow. It just, just seems to make things run smoother. I don't have to be worried about finding a fuel stop anytime real soon. I can drive all day. So that's what I did. I stopped, filled that up. I topped off my DEF, the DEF, the diesel exhaust fluid. That stuff I hate so much. I topped that off. It cost me another, I don't know, $8 or $10 to top that off. See, diesel's $4.28, $4.29 here. So I got a good deal getting it for $3.99. And this truck is throwing off all my normal things that I do, because I'm used to running one truck and keeping track of the fuel mileage and stuff for that one truck. Well, now I've got two different methods that I have to juggle because I don't have the apportion tags and the IFTA stickers on this truck anymore. So what I'm doing is I don't pay the fuel tax until I get to the state, to the weigh station. So I pay that up front, but it's a much inflated rate that I'm paying every time I go into these states. So that, and I'm not keeping track of my mileage for the apportionment like I would do with the Ford, or like I used to do with this when it was an apportioned vehicle. So it's just kind of a different thing, so it's kind of throwing me off my game. I'm like, I can write down the same information, but it's kind of pointless. It's not like I'm gonna come back and have to do a report on this truck because it's not in the program. But I'm gonna have to do a quarterly report next week. When September's over. sometime after it finishes for the third quarter. So it's going to be a little different report. Won't have as much mileage on it. Okay, people, can we just go? Oh, gosh. This is so awkward. They've got this casino up here, up the road about a half a mile to my north, to my right. And so they put in this light down here. It kind of tends to jam things up a little bit. People aren't used to it yet. It's only been here a few years. So, you know, it's like everybody's like, oh, why did they put that light there? Okay, I'm going to take it easy on this ramp. I am pulling 2 trailers. I don't want that back one getting fishy or flipping over or anything, so I go real easy on ramps and curves. It's the thing about pulling doubles like this. You know, some are easier to pull than others. This isn't actually a particularly easy set of doubles to pull because they're short trailers. This is about half the length I had from what I pulled last week. I pulled a set of doubles out to Arizona last week, and combined those 2 trailers were probably 30 feet long. No, they were longer than that. 35, 36, probably close to 40 feet once you count in the hitches and everything. So they're pretty long trailers. These are little 14-footers. So between the 2 of them, they may be 30 feet long. So this is a pretty easy set to pull, but I still have to mind the rules for pulling doubles, because I can still get that whiplash effect going back there if I go too fast or go too fast around corners, or that starts whipping around. Of course, it shouldn't do that unless I'm like getting really excessive with the speed, because we pulled that front axle, the wheels off the front axles of both of them. So this should go pretty smooth. It has been so far. I've been running about 70, which is faster than I usually run with doubles, but these are little shorties. They're behaving pretty well. East Rogers Lane, 1 mile. I don't want that. I want West Rogers Lane. Oh, it's trying to run me over Cash Road, and I'm not taking this up Cash Road. Thank you very much. Cash Road is one of the main business routes through Lawton, and there's nothing wrong with it except it's a lot of stoplights, and I don't want to haul these right through there, and it's a little rough. So I'm going to go up here to Rogers Lane and cut across. So you can't always trust your GPS. You have to use your own brain and figure out if what it's telling you is legit or not, because it's just doing what it's programmed to do, but it's not always the best thing for you. Now, if I might even still take Rogers Lane even if I didn't have a trailer on, maybe so, just because of the stop and go factor on Cash Road. But now if I wanted like to stop at Starbucks or something, I would definitely take Cash Road, because that's where it's at. Okay, so I want exit 40B. They changed this exit up here recently. It used to be you just took this exit and made a left. Well, they put some kind of a weird, you can't go left on that exit, so you got to take this other ramp and go around. It's, I don't know. You know, they like to change them up, modernize them, I guess. Alright, I suppose. But the first time I came over here, I tried to take 40A, and I ended up having to go in there and turn around in a gas station. I kind of screwed myself up. So I learned. At least I have the capability of learning, which I guess is probably a good thing, you know. I guess old dogs can learn new tricks, maybe, if they want to. gosh, that bird. I've got bird marks all over the passenger window here. I'll pull this out and show you. I don't know if you can see all these little marks. That's from Birdnard. Birdnard is a mockingbird that lives at our place. He's been around at least since last spring, maybe longer. And he's kind of a crazy little mockingbird. He gets up on the truck mirrors and he fights with himself. And he gets in the windows and he flaps his wings and just makes messes and he poops on everything. And but he'll sit up on the edge of the mirror and look in the mirror and peck at the mirror and fly at the mirror. And he'll do the same thing with the windows on the house. In fact, Bill's got a video of him doing this business at the window, I think. I'll have to see if he wants to upload that. He may have it uploaded, but he's just a kind of a goofy ass bird. So he's dirtied up my whole passenger side, and I didn't know that because it was dark out when I got in the truck, so I didn't clean it. So I'll be stopping somewhere and cleaning that off. But good old Birdnard. That's just the name we gave him, Birdnard, like Bernard but with a D in the middle. Bird, because he's a bird. But he's a nutty little bird, but we like him. You know, he hangs around. I think they must live down here full time. They must not leave. He doesn't act like he's going anywhere. So I don't remember seeing him in the summer when it was really hot. So maybe he's already been somewhere else and come back. I don't know. But he's very territorial and he defends his territory by getting on all the mirrors on all the vehicles and then flying up to the windows on the house and flapping them with his wings and flying into them. Not like hard enough to break his neck like, you know, a bird flies into a window accidentally. He'll come up and kind of jump at the window and kind of chest bump it. He's, like I say, he's a little nutty. A little nutty bird. We got some strange critters running around our little piece of ground out there, that's for sure. Between the little armadillos who think they're, I don't know, puppies or something. They act like little puppies. Then we got, of course, our own critters, our own cats and our dog Molly. And the chickens, Handsome Jack and his chickens, his chicks. Then we got mama deer. We've got one doe who keeps coming back year after year and having her babies on our place, and then she hangs around. She had twins this year. One of them got killed down on the road. And we don't even have like a big road. We've got a little skinny road, but people like to go around Marlow on it for some reason. They think it's a shortcut, or I don't know. Like Marlow's that hard to drive through. You know, it's got 2 stoplights. Well, actually, I think it's got 3, but so we got mama deer. Then we usually have at least one little wild cat hanging around. They come and they go, the wild ones do. We've had a couple come in and then they disappeared, so I imagine they just die off. You know, wild cats have a rough life, I think, and probably a short life expectancy. Then there's the armadillos. We got Mama Armadillo. We had Daddy Armadillo, but somebody killed him down on the road a couple weeks ago. And then be kind of grown-ups now. They're not real big, but they're about, I don't know, probably half to 3/4 grown. So they run around in the yard occasionally. And we've got one skunk that likes to hang around, but I haven't seen it much lately. They don't really hang around too much, so we don't have any place where they can actually get in and make a nest or get under a building or whatever. They like places where they can get down underneath and, den up. And we've got some roadrunners. I haven't seen them much lately. I saw them, I think, once this summer. Of course, I haven't been home much either, but we used to have 2 or 3 of them running around out there. And they're interesting birds. They're actually a lot bigger than you would think they are. Well, they're bigger than I thought they were, when you see them up close. I've got water out in the yard for the chickens and stuff, and a lot of wildlife will come up and drink out of their water because, it's right there, it's convenient. The doe likes to come in, the deer, she'll come in and drink out of that and then eat what's left of the chicken's feed. At night, she'll come have a snack. Well, she's taught her baby to come eat there too, so that's what they do at night. They come in and have their midnight snack and then they go bed down out in the pasture. So it's kind of a cool place. But we only got one crazy animal, and that's Birdnard hanging around. So at least he's not maliciously crazy. He hasn't come up and attacked either one of us. He just likes to get his own reflection and, act silly in the mirrors. I don't know why he does what he does. But he does. That's just Birdnard. It's just how he is. Well, this is still Rogers Lane, still cutting across a lot. As you can see, I haven't had to hit stoplights every block and a half, which is why I came this way. If I had gone Cash Road, it would have been a stoplight every, I don't know, 1/4 mile at the least. The sun's starting to get up pretty high in the sky now, and these signs are starting to get reflective and glaring. And I'm getting some pretty good sunlight in my side mirrors too. I'm glad I'm driving out of the sun rather than into it though, for sure. So it's about 7:30. I got a little bit later of the actual start than I had planned to, but I also had planned to only be able to drive about 60 to 65 miles an hour, and I think I can do quite a bit better than that, so I think it'll all even out. So right in here somewhere, I guess right back at the beginning of that curve maybe, a couple of years ago, some guy ran off the road back there and his car went out in those trees, and they couldn't find the guy for a long time. It took them forever to find him. He did not survive it. And but it's like he just disappeared one day. It was in the paper. But they finally, eventually, I think it was like either weeks or months later, they found his car and his remains out in the pasture, out in some trees or something. So I don't know. They don't really do any follow-up on news stories around here. So, you read about things happening and they say, oh, well, we'll update you, but they never do. So I have no idea. There have been a couple of things like that around here that I was kind of interested in, knowing what happened. That was one of them, but they also somewhere over in Stevens County, which is the county I live in, about, 5 or 6, 7 years ago, somebody found some human remains out in a field, I guess, maybe in a fence line or under a tree or something. And they went and got these ancient remains. So this was somebody that had been either buried or who had laid down and died there thousands of years ago. And I guess I can't remember if some college or something was looking into it or whatever. It was one of those things, oh, we'll let you know when we find out. Well, I never heard another peep out of it. Nothing about it. So I have no idea. Don't know if they were right, if it was actually, actually an ancient body or what. Stuff like that's kind of aggravating to me. It's like, if you say you're going to follow up on it, follow up on it. Even if it's just to say, well, we tried to follow up on it, didn't get any more information, so we're sorry, but we tried. At least try. The news organizations around here aren't all that. I don't know. I don't think they're all that much interested in reporting the actual news. These small town newspapers. They don't have the budget, probably, because, since the internet, newspapers can't make any money now. And a lot of the stuff that these little bitty newspapers print is just, local interest type stuff. Social pages, local sports, that kind of thing. They don't really go in for the actual interesting news stories. They don't really have actual real reporters, I don't think, like dedicated reporters. They might have one poor lonely guy trying to do all this stuff, but who knows. But for whatever reason, we don't have real intensely curious press. I guess is a good way to put it. Okay, when I came around Lawton, I ended up out here on Highway 62. Now, I don't know if 7 combines with 62 or not, but or 7 ends and 62 begins. I don't know. Never really thought about it too much, but that's where I am geographically. I'm between Lawton and Altus now. So we'll be going through Altus, Oklahoma. I don't think much of Altus. I don't know. I just don't like it very much. Don't like Lawton all that much either. I don't like these towns that have military bases in them. It seems like they've got more violence and more just more problems. Well, they got more people, so it's kind of a ratio thing. I think the more people you get, the more problems you get. It's just kind of how it works. But to me, Altus has always just been a town to get the hell through. Get through it and keep going. Which, I'm sorry, Altus people. Trip, knock on wood. These trailers are really pulling nice and straight now. I'm not having to fight with them, not one bit. I can run the speed limit, which is pretty awesome. It's not too often I can actually run the full speed limit, pulling doubles. But I usually don't take both sets of front tires off. I may start taking both sets of front tires off now when I've got bumper pulls. When I've got a gooseneck as the lead trailer, it's not that big of a deal. You don't have the same problems for some reason. I'm not sure why. guess it's just more stable or something. But when you're running with little bumper pull trailers like this, then they can get pretty squirrely. These are just doing great. So I have high hopes that I can get these things delivered today before the store over there closes. And then we'll see what else my broker guys can think up to give me. He doesn't know yet that I'm back in the Dodge. He thinks I'm in the Ford. So I'll let him think that until I have to text him here and get my... I don't even know what this job pays yet. He hasn't sent me that information. I guess he will if I ask him, probably. Which I'll do sometime before I get there, because I've got to fill out my ticket. I've got to put the price on the ticket so I can get paid. And this place is one of those that will just cut me a check. It's not, they're not cutting me a check, they're cutting a check for me to take back to my broker. So I don't really like doing that, but you know, it's part of the job. I'd rather not touch their money, because they take care of all the money and they give me money I got coming to me, and they're always good about it. And I don't really like handling their money. So usually what I'll do is I'll mail it to them as soon as I can, once I got that delivered, so that it's not, you know, I'm not just carrying their check around and forgetting about it or something. That's why I don't like doing it. It's not like like I'm just being, kind of jerky about it. It's like I don't want to forget to give it back to them, to send it in. So I've kind of got myself in the habit of mailing it. As soon as I get home, I'll sit down and do an envelope and just mail it. And that way I don't open up my clipboard a week from now and see a check in there that they should have had 2 weeks ago or something. The other thing I do to remind myself is when I stop at these places that do cut a check, is I send a picture of the check and the ticket back to the office so they know that the people have paid it, and then they'll know to be looking for an envelope from me with the check in it. That way, if I forget for some reason, they can give me a nudge, like, hey, you sent this picture, but we haven't got the check yet. I'm like, oh crap, it's probably my clipboard. So, yeah. So that's kind of how that old thing works. So I'm getting about 12 miles to the gallon right now. I don't know how much I'll get pulling these. This truck has a long bed on it. It's a 9-foot bed. I don't have anything back there to decrease the wind drag as it's hitting the front of the lead trailer. So I usually don't get great fuel mileage pulling a bumper pull trailer anyway, unless it's like a flat trailer, like a tilt or a little flat float or whatever. But if it's anything with a high profile, high enough to stick up over the back of the truck, I usually lose a lot of fuel mileage just from wind resistance. So we'll see how this pans out. I don't know. I'm doing 12 right now. I'm going to reset it again. I reset it a couple times just to make sure I'm getting an accurate reading for the terrain. So kind of what I thought. I'm not getting that great of mileage. I'll probably get about 9 or 10 miles to the gallon pulling these, even though they're not heavy. Each one of these trailers weighs just over a ton, so they're little 2,000-pound trailers. In the trailer world, that's pretty small, pretty light. Yeah, these are like 2-horse units or 4 cow units or whatever, 4 calves, but they're not very big trailers. I might do a little better than I think. I don't know. We'll see. See how it averages out. What I will be doing is I'll be keeping my eye open all the way out here. If and when I see a good deal on fuel, and I can get to it, I'll stop in there top this off. I learned a long time ago, like 10 or 12 years ago, not to let my fuel go low on the truck, because you don't necessarily know where the next fuel stop's going to be, and you can run out of diesel, which is a big no-no. You never want to run a diesel engine dry. It's a big deal. I guess if you do, you have to prime it with diesel before you can even get it to start again or something. So I've only come close to doing that one time, and that was, I was hauling, it's been 10 or 12 years ago, I was hauling a set of doubles like this out to Arizona, and I was going the southern route, or over to Tucson, and I got down in there, and I knew I needed fuel, and I just didn't stop and get it at the last place, that I noticed. Well, then it was like 60 miles or 70 miles to the next fuel stop, and I was almost out of fuel when I got there, so that one that spooked me enough, that I realized I better pay better attention, not do that to myself. So now I don't let it go below a quarter at all. I prefer not to let it get too far below half a tank, just for general purposes. Okay, well, I'm going to continue on my way here, and I'll check back in with you in a little while. It's going to be a long day, so I'll have plenty of time to do some filming, but I think for now I'm going to drink my coffee and concentrate on getting on down the road. And there's my microphone put down there. Oh, jeez. Okay.